What is up, guys? It's Tesnari, the Assetto Corsa Ringtone Fan 43 again with another YouTube tutorial for Assetto Corsa. So guys, in this video we will be transferring bits and pieces of another car into another car to make a tuned version. So we will be modifying the KN5 file within Blender to create more aerodynamics for this KTM X-Bow. So guys, even though this video does go through most of the steps within Blender to complete this, it's important that you know the basic controls of Blender yourself, as this video will not be covering it all. So guys, go through the Blender Donut tutorial, and guys, if you like this content, leave a like, leave a subscription, and don't forget to comment what your favorite part of this video is so I can keep making more videos just like this. So guys, just as in the last video, we want to start off by making a clone of the car. So in this case, I've created a clone of this KTM X-Bow that we will be modifying today. And then the next step we want to do is we want to go to the car we want to take parts from and extract the KN5 file as well. So previously there was a question in the video about what happens or what went wrong when this unpack LOD KN5 button does not appear. In those cases, firstly, make sure in Content Manager that you do in fact have the FBX converter plugin enabled. But if even after that the extract KN5 LOD button does not appear, that means the 3D model is encrypted and you cannot modify it. This was a decision made by the author that you cannot modify his mod, and there is nothing you can do about it. So guys, the next step we want to do is we want to open Blender and start working on these 3D models. So using the technique from my previous video, I have already created the blend file for the KTM. But now we want to also import another car into the scene. So in the scene collection here, we want to create a new collection and we can call it car 2. And then make sure the collection is active when we go file and import the second FBX file. And then you take the path for the extracted KN5 and you put it into the navigation bar and click to import the second model into the Blender scene. Now you have both of the cars in Blender at the same time and we can start working on the changes we want to make. So the purposes of this tutorial, I want to take this spoiler and I want to take these tires and put them on the KTM X-Bow. So guys, without further ado, let's get into it, and don't forget to like, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to comment what your favorite part of this video is. So guys, the first thing we want to do is we want to go and hide the second car for now, and we want to go here and delete the parts that we're gonna be replacing so it's easier to work with. So in this case we want to go here and we want to delete the wheel, the tires I mean, and then we want to go and make sure that there is a place that we can put the spoiler on. So in this case we will just tack it on right here. So then we want to go and hide the KN5 of the X-Bow and then go back into the Lamborghini and take our tires out of the Lamborghini. So in this case we will be selecting the tires, and then we use the search key to search for clear parent and keep transformation, which keeps the transformation of the tires without adjusting their rotation or anything else, and without breaking the location. And then we might want to create a third collection here that we can put our new selected parts into so that it's easier to transfer them over into the other KN5. So in the case we selected all of the tires again, and we drag and move them into the new collection. So the next thing we want to take is the spoiler. Now the spoiler is a bit difficult because it's broken into several different pieces. And right now what you want to do is you just want to select all of them, and then you will delete all of these extra parts manually, which I will show in a following step. So when you have all the wing pieces selected, then do the same step as last time where we cleared the transformations, and then we move them into the third collection that we had just created. And then after we have done that, we can hide the current Lamborghini Huracan. And then we have all of these extra junk that we do not want on the car. So then we go into perspective view and we go into edit mode and delete all of these extra pieces manually by just using the edit mode. Simple as that. Now it's a bit tedious to keep moving these wing pieces while they are detached, so we can just use Ctrl J to join these into a one piece mesh. And you can see in the materials tab that the unique materials will keep all of the different meshes separated from each other. Now we have all of our parts separated, so we can re-enable the view of the KTM Expo and start putting the parts onto the Expo. So in this case we want to move the wing to the position that we want it to be in, and then we can adjust the rotation or the scale of it. Let's make it a bit bigger, so it's a big spoiler. It's the no hesi cut up spec spoiler, so it's big, it's demanding respect from all of the lesser drivers. And make sure that it intersects with the body, so it makes sure that it looks attached to the car. We can still lower it a little bit like this. It's really aerodynamic looking. Then when you make things like scale or rotation transforms, don't forget to press Ctrl A and apply rotation and scale. This is very important for anything you are scaling up and down. But do not apply scale or rotation on dummy objects, because that will cause issues, because you might be doing it wrongly. So to add the tire to the wheel, we first need to make sure that the origin of the wheel, the object, is in fact in the center of it. We can check it if we open the move gizmo and it appears in the center line of the wheel, and in this case it obviously does. So then we want to go in here and find the wheel underscore LF dummy. In this case, because this car has an animated suspension, it will go under a hub underscore LF dummy object. But in this case, what we are looking for is the wheel underscore LF. So right now we select it by pressing Ctrl, and then we snap selection to active. Now there's an issue where the tire is too big to fit the wheel, and it's also a slightly wrong offset here, and that is because the unique to this car, it uses animated suspension, so some things might be offset to compensate for the animations. So in this case we just move the wheel sideways until it hits the rim lip. But the issue also is that the wheel is still too big to fit the rim, so we can just scale it down until it does. It's still poking out from this side, so we might want to do it this way. Go into edit mode and change the width of the tire profile to fit the wheel easier, like this. Now you have done one of the wheels. We can easily, instead of just manually copying one of these, doing the same process over and over again, we can take this wheel and make a copy of it, and then change the x-axis, assuming the car is pipeline compliant and is centered on the x-axis, and then rotate it 90 degrees, and then apply rotation and scale. And then all we need to do is move these two tires into the correct collection, and then drag and drop them under the relevant wheel_dummy object. In the case of this wheel, I had forgot to apply the transform, so don't forget to apply rotation and scale on this. And then go into the LF mesh, make sure to change its name to RF because it's the right front. Why is it giving me an error? RF_mesh. And then we go and find the RF mesh here, I mean the RF dummy object, and move it here. Now sometimes the rear tires have a different tire profile, so you will need to manually do the same process for the rear tires. So I will display that process right here. So we go and find the all-R object, and then we find the all-R mesh, and then we snap selection. We want to snap this to here, so make sure the hub object is the active element, or else you're gonna snap the wrong way around. Snap selection to active, and then make sure the wheel is actually centered correctly. And as you can see, it's still not fitting into the rim, so shrink it again until it does. Then we want to change the width of the tire like this. And that looks like it's good enough. Then you can delete the second instance and then transfer this over to the other side by changing the x-axis to negative, and then rotate it 90 degrees and apply the transforms that we have made on these tires. Then we just move these into the collection, and you already know the process of this. So find the LR, find the wheel LR, and you transfer it over there. And then you find the RR, which is for the rear right, and you change this one to RR and change it there. Then we already have the wing here, so all we need to do is we can apply the location on it because we don't need the position delta. And now we have a big spoiler here. So that is basically all of the things we need to do in Blender. So then we just need to export the FBX file and then move it into the KS editor and apply the materials. So in the scale transform, we need to set it to 0.01. This is to make sure the scale export is correct when we open it in KS editor. We also do not want to export any of the animation files, so keep that there. And geometry, we don't really need to look at any of these other things. And make sure when you export the FBX file that it has the name that the original FBX came with, so that the persistence file, which I will get into shortly, will work with the new file that we have created. So double click to export the file, and then we get into KS editor. So guys, to find the KS editor, we want to go into the Steam Apps Common Assetto Corsa and click inside the SDK folder. Inside of there you will find the editor folder, and you double click to open it. And here you can find the renowned kseditor.exe, and this will open the KS editor for you to use. So to open a car in KS editor, you need to click on open FBX file. So then you put in the file path of your FBX file, and then you double click to open the FBX file. Now you should get into a black and white view where you can see your car. It's a bit difficult to see your car, so don't forget to load the colors and put on a PP filter so you can actually see what's going on in the KS editor. And guys, if you like this content, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and leave a subscription. So as we can see here, some of these wheels are missing their materials, and if we go in here we can see a lot of red materials here. And that is because the game is missing the textures and pointers to those textures and the materials that it requires so that it can display it in game. So next thing we need to do is we need to save the persistence file so we can make edits to it and copy the material definitions of the other car into the other car without having to manually type every single material definition manually. So the next step here is we want to go find the extracted KN5 that we had of the donor car, and we want to go here and copy all these textures into the textures folder of the car we are working on. So then just drag and drop all these textures into the texture folder. If it asks to replace the textures, you can just skip those files. In this case I will replace because I'm wild. Now after you have copied all of the textures into the textures folder, we want to open the persistence file of both the donor car and the car we are working on. The persistence file is the INI file of the FBX, which contains all of the shader settings and texture pointers that the game needs to know what to draw in the game. So the next step we want to do is open KS editor again, open the Expo LODA, and then we want to find all of the missing materials that do not have a definition and copy their definition into the Expo LOD FBX INI file. So in this case we have carbon malt 100, so we search for carbon malt 100 and search, and there is the material definition. So we copy this, press Ctrl C, and then we go into the car and search for it, and there it is, and then we paste the material definition, and then we do it again. We find the next material is car paint, so we search for car paint, and here comes conflict. There are many different materials with car paint in the name, but it's not specifically the car paint material. So you need to make sure you copy the correct material from the other car. So in this case we Ctrl C, and then we search car paint here again, and now it's highlighting as results for car paint textures, but we are not looking for that, we're looking for this. And then we replace it again with the definition. So you do this as many times as you have read textures or material definitions here on the side panel. So I will be back in a moment as I have done that. And that's it guys, I've just completed copying over the material definitions. Now it's important that you do not in any case save persistence again, or else you lose all the progress you have made so far. So next thing you want to do is you want to restart the FBX editor. So there we go, we get a new, and then we open the FBX file again, and there we go. And when we enable illumination again, we should see that all our materials are right here with the collect colors, and the wing has carbon fiber finish to it. So the next thing you want to do is you want to save KN5, save as car, and then you just put it here and export KN5. And guys, that's it, that's the finish line. don't forget to leave a like, leave a subscription, and leave a comment for what your favorite part of this video is. So here's the end product of what we have just created. It has a big spoiler for aerodynamics, and it has new complete slicks for your increased grip mod. So you can post it on race department for everyone else to enjoy, and then you can drive fast on no hesi caught up 24/7 open join lobby. So guys, that's about it for this tutorial. If you liked it, leave a comment for what your favorite part of this video is, leave a subscription and leave a like, and that's it. Test Nari, the Assetto Corsa Ringtone Fan 43 out. See you guys in the next video.